Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Proud Mary. Well, the reason I wanted to see this movie, I would very much like a Taraji P. Henson hit woman movie. That sounds like an awesome idea to me. Both the posters looked really cool and looked incredible, and I was all excited. And also, you know, I was a big fan of 70s blaxploitation, and I would love people say, I've heard a lot of rumblings on the internet that this could be the return of blaxploitation, and various projects that have been announced and are going to come out this year will kind of show a return to that, and I would very much like that. I am with that. I am into that idea. But Proud Mary is not that triumphant film that really brings it back. It might be the first one of these projects that is coming out, but I don't necessarily think it is the one that is going to start that. Now, that's a lot to put on any movie, but I also think in terms of being the thing that will hail in Taraji P. Henson as more of a leading woman action hero type of thing, I don't really think it does that either. I was sort of all in with this movie before. I loved, you know, the posters look cool, like I said before. I was all ready to like this film. What I got was sort of like, let's say you ordered a cheese sandwich. I don't know, that sounds not like the greatest thing in the world, but let's just go with it. Let's say you ordered a cheese sandwich and you think, oh, that cheese sandwich is going to have lettuce, tomatoes, maybe mayonnaise or ketchup or something. This doesn't sound like a great sandwich anyway. But let's say you ordered that thing, you're expecting all that with the cheese sandwich, and basically all you get is 2 pieces of bread and cheese, and you're like, well, I guess I can't really get mad at you because that is what I wanted. I wanted a fun, dumb action movie, but that's seemingly all you gave me. And I think Taraji P. Henson is a great actress, and I think you can do a lot with her. Look at Cookie on Empire. I didn't only really watch a season and a half of that, but that and a lot of her feature film work, she's shown that she's an amazing actress and an amazing personality, and having that in an action movie could be a lot of fun. But this movie doesn't take advantage of that. It's very cold and kind of clinical and kind of very cheap. This is a very cheap movie. I know it was super low budget, only cost about $3 million. I don't necessarily hate movies because they're low budget, but this felt very, very cheap, and it managed not to take advantage of a lot of very charismatic actors in this film. They have Taraji P. Henson, Billy Brown, Danny Glover, and you'd think like, oh, that'll be cool. They're on like a hitman team together, and Danny Glover's like their like lead boss. Like, there's no way this will suck, and they managed to not use any of that personality throughout it. That, and I didn't really know what this movie was about. It's very rare that you see a wide release movie just not tell you its plot unless it totally sucks. The reason John Wick works so well and has a plot of like John Wick is going for revenge, and he goes these various set pieces and does these things. It's not just because you want like the cheap beer of a dumb action movie, or just like I wanted a cheeseburger therefore I got it. It's because plot construction wise and what you actually want from that movie, it's giving to you. You know, it's very direct about like, hey, you wanted an awesome action movie where Keanu Reeves kills people? Here's John Wick, here's how it worked. And in Proud Mary, it like doesn't. She's a big hit woman in an underground crime family in Boston, and then she kills a young boy's father who was a bookie, owed a lot of money, and finds out that she basically orphaned this boy and finds him a year later and takes him in and sort of decides she's going to leave the life and stop being a hit woman or something like that. Having a hit person, I guess, because I always hear hit man, but what's like the plural non-gendered one? I don't know. I guess it's hit person. Having that kind of a person with, you know, having a kid who they're not used to and kind of biting off more than they can chew or something. There's a lot of comedic possibilities in it, and I think Taraji P. Henson tries to work well with the kid. Danny, played by Jahi Diallo Winston, whose name I probably messed up. And I felt his performance was a little inconsistent at times. Obviously, he was trying to go for something a little maybe too complex. I think they kind of should have played it more like more of a fun thing. Like, this is a plot you can make a really fun, audience-pleasing movie with if you had like a director who really wanted to have fun with it. And I think that's sort of one of the problems with this film is like, this is a film like I used to buy those DVD sets where it's like 50 action movies from the 70s and it's $4, and I'd buy it because I'd be like, oh, I love 70s action movies. Sure, I will watch all these. And I'd watch like not all of those, but I'd watch a good number. And there'd be a few that would be awesome and they'd be like gems I didn't really know about, but then there'd always be a few that would just be like film in that actor's filmography or the director who did action movies I was really into. And it's more of just like you completing the filmography than you actually liking it. You can tell no one was really into it. It was just like, you know, they all had like a couple months where they weren't doing anything, so they made this movie or something. Bobak Najofi, who directed London Has Fallen previously, he's not the kind of like inspired director who really makes these kind of action movies sing. And it does feel like an action movie you'd find in the dollar bin and go, you know, that was kind of what I wanted. I could go on my cell phone, during it. I didn't in the theater, obviously. I, fell asleep through a few parts, and, I rewound and watched the few cool action sequences in it. And that's sort of what this is, I think it's fine at doing that. It's like lessen your expectations. I know everyone wants this to be a thing, but it's just honestly not that amazing. It's kind of so like down the line, cheap little action movie. It doesn't really do much else. I so wish it did, but it's like you have Danny Glover, you have Taraji P. Henson. Like, Taraji P. Henson could have had so much fun with this role, and it's like it just felt so subdued and quiet, and the budget didn't hinder these people and make them do these kind of performances. It's like someone doing like a small character piece, but in the worst way, and in a movie that's totally inappropriate for, and in a way that doesn't actually work because they're not actually doing that with the performance. It almost felt like everyone's just doing like the little they had to get this movie done with. Like Danny Glover, like I think I saw him in like whatever that Christmas family movie was on HBO in the last week or so, and he felt more inspired in that. I love Danny Glover and stuff, but this is like what Danny Glover's become. He just plays like a crappy mob boss in a shitty action movie. And Billy Brown, who I think also has potential, I don't think really got into as much as he can do in How to Get Away with Murder. And same with Taraji P. Henson, could do so much more. It's like you have all these actors, you have this great cast, what are you doing with it? And your answer is, not much really. They're just kind of filling roles that almost anyone could play. What's the point in casting them in such a thing? It just felt like something that probably should have gone on VOD, and even in that crowd, because there are promising action directors there, this probably wouldn't stand out in that. It's just kind of like a very, like, if you like Taraji P. Henson, you'll watch this movie. It doesn't ruin her for me, but it just kind of makes me go, it's cool that she got this role and did it. And there's certain sequences, like there's a sequence towards the end, spoilers I guess, that they play Proud Mary and she shoots a lot of people. I thought that sequence was good. I enjoyed that, but it wasn't amazing enough to sit through this thing. I found it just a little too something that I could just get on bootleg when I, made a deal with the bootleg guy to get like 4 for $10, and I picked this up and I was like kind of fine with watching this with a bunch of other stuff, but I'd probably forget it and go, yeah, it was fine, I guess. I don't know. I wanted this to be something. I really did. I wanted this to be something inspired and something fun, and I think Taraji P. Henson could give this to us at some point, but this is not that movie. This is a very unspecial action movie that you'd watch in an action movie marathon and maybe sort of think about giving up after watching it, because you'd be like, maybe action movies aren't that special, and I go, okay, let's put on a good one after this. I know it's January and everyone's gonna go, fuck you, it's January, of course this isn't that great, but I really sort of believed in this film. But I think maybe the sign should have been that we didn't know what this film was about, but it's not really going into like why she'd necessarily want to leave other than killing this kid's dad. They could have gone more into those things, the psychological aspects of it. Just because you're staring and quiet doesn't mean you're really getting into anyone's inner psyche. It just maybe looks like you don't really know exactly what to do a lot of the times. And this director didn't seem like he knew what to do with such great personalities. And with majority black cast action film, he didn't seem like he was able to kind of take advantage of the fact that this could have been a very awesome, unique kind of action movie. We don't get a lot of action movies with black female leads, and I would say this director really blew it in that case. I don't think he's a very good action director at all, but compared to things like Atomic Blonde and John Wick that really push the genre and are a lot of fun, it's really disappointing when people make stuff like this. It just feels like kind of like the really by the line kind of genre crap, and I think I'm being nice about it by saying that, honestly. It's just exactly what you wanted, but literally nothing else. It looked cheap. It didn't really have any energy or fun to it, with the exception of a few sequences. Even its soundtrack choices, which if you really want to get into the blaxploitation thing, blaxploitation had amazing soundtracks. Think of Isaac Hayes, Curtis Mayfield, James Brown. The thing is about this, it has like Papa Was a Rolling Stone at the beginning, which I love. I love that song. And then Proud Mary during an awesome action sequence. That's it. It's just very much something that you had the ingredients to make something great, and you almost like just ignored them and just made something really passable so you could have gotten out of there. And that's what Proud Mary sadly is. It's just kind of like a passable down the line action film starring Taraji P. Henson, where she gives none of the energy and personality that she normally has throughout most of her great performances. And if that's really what you want out of a Taraji P. Henson starring action vehicle, then I guess that's fine, but that's kind of where you leave this film, where you're like, I guess that was what we did and that was all, and okay, sure. So if you have seen Proud Mary and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.